talk about the Christian holiday of Lent, which comes shortly after Valentine's Day. Lent's ancient roots. Now, a lot of you here, you were Protestants or fundamental Christians early on, and you didn't celebrate Lent. See, I was raised Lutheran. We did the Lent thing. I didn't know why, but interesting, in the Lutheran church, every Sunday had a name. It would be like the fifth Sunday after Epiphany. Why, that's interesting. What's Epiphany? They never told us what Epiphany was. I was there for 30 some odd years. Anyway, Lent, we did celebrate Lent. It would be, the third Sunday of Lent or whatever. Coming from the Anglo-Saxon Lencton, meaning spring, Lent originated in the ancient Babylonian mystery religion. The 40 days abstinence of Lent was directly borrowed from the worshippers of the Babylonian goddess. Among the pagans, this Lent seems to have been an indispensable preliminary to the great annual festival in commemoration of the death and resurrection of Tammuz. Now that comes from Hyslop's book, The Two Babylons. Tammuz was the false messiah of the Babylonians. The Feast of Tammuz was originally celebrated in June, also called the month of Tammuz. Lent was held 40 days before the feast, celebrated by alternate weeping and rejoicing. This is why Lent means spring. It took place from spring to early summer. The Bible records ancient Judah worshiping this false messiah. Then he brought me to the door of the gate of the master's house, of Adonai's house, which was toward the north, and behold, there sat women weeping for Tammuz. That's in Ezekiel 8, verses 14 and 15. Now, Lent is traditionally a time of sadness. Okay, it just is. It's the death of Messiah, but we're looking forward to his resurrection on Easter, okay, which is the birth of the fertility goddess and all that stuff. But what that really is, Lent is weeping for Tammuz. This was a great abomination in Elohim's eyes. Why did the church at Rome institute such a pagan holiday? Once again, the reasoning, it's the same every time. To conciliate the pagans to nominal Christianity, Rome, pursuing its usual policy, took measures to get the Christian and pagan festivals amalgamated, and by a complicated but skillful adjustment of the calendar, it was found no difficult manner, in general, to get paganism and Christianity, now far sunk into idolatry, in this, as in so many other things, to shake hands. Once again, that comes from Hyslop's historical book, The Two Babylons. The Roman Church replaced Passover with Easter, moving the pagan feast of Tammuz to early spring, Christianizing it, and Lent moved with it. This change of the calendar in regard to Easter was attended with momentous consequences. It brought into the church the grossest corruption and the rankest superstition in connection with the abstinence of Lent. Before giving up personal sins and vices during Lent, the pagans held a wild, anything-goes celebration to make sure they got in their share of debaucheries and perversities, what the world celebrates as Mardi Gras today. That starts off Lent. Well, once again, what's wrong with celebrating holidays that were once pagan? Does it matter that these holidays celebrate false gods at one time? Now they celebrate the church, they celebrate Jesus, so what's the big deal? Paul writes in 1 Corinthians 10, starting at verse 19, what do I mean then? That a thing sacrificed to idols is anything, or that an idol is anything? No, but I say that the things which the Gentiles sacrifice, they sacrifice to demons, and not to Elohim. And I do not want you to become sharers in demons. You cannot drink the cup of Yahweh and the cup of demons. You cannot partake of the table of Yahweh and the table of demons. We read in Deuteronomy 12. If you ever want to remember where those passages are as far as do not celebrate pagan holidays, it's Deuteronomy 12, Deuteronomy a dozen, the first 4 verses and the last 4 verses. Okay? First 4 and the last 4 of the Deuteronomy dozen. These are the statutes and judgments which you shall carefully observe in the land which Yahweh, the Elohim of your fathers, has given you to possess as long as you live on the earth. You shall utterly destroy all the places where the nations whom you shall dispossess serve their gods. on the high mountains and on the hills and under every green tree. You shall tear down their altars, smash their sacred pillars, and burn their Asherim with fire. You shall cut down the engraved images of their gods, and you shall obliterate their name from that place. You shall not act like this toward Yahweh your Elohim. Skipping down to the last 4 verses. When Yahweh your Elohim cuts off before you the nations which you're going in to dispossess, and you dispossess them and dwell in their land, beware that you're not ensnared to follow them after they're destroyed before you, and that you do not inquire after their gods, saying, how do these nations serve their gods, that I also may do likewise? Excuse me. You shall not behave thus toward Yahweh your Elohim. For every abominable act which Yahweh hates, they've done for their gods. For they even burn their sons and daughters in the fire to their gods. Whatever I command you, you shall be careful to do. You shall not add to nor take away from it. Any questions on Lent or Valentine's Day? All pagan nonsense.